Welcome back. The objective of this video is to do another example with annuity, but this time we want to find the annuity amount if we were given the present value or the future value. So let's jump straight into it. Let's assume that we will have $300 present value at the moment, and we want to know what is an equivalent amount for the next 5 years. Okay, so we're going to do this similar to other video. We're going to go through the equation method, and we're going to do this with the table method, and you can decide whichever style you prefer. Okay, so this is the initial equation for present value when dealing with annuity. P equal A bracket 1 minus 1 plus R to the minus N or to R. Okay, and we just simply rearrange this to make A the subject as shown below. Okay, now we know the necessary information. We know the present value is 300, we know R is 12%, and we know that the number of period is 5. So we simply just put this into the equation, and we just like this, and we can show that the annuity amount will be $83.22. Okay, now if we were to do this using the interest rate table method, we can see that we simply just write A equal P bracket A slash P I N. We know I is 12%, we know N is 5 period, so we look at our back of our book and we go to the column that says finding A given P, I, and N, and we will find that the factor that we multiply the present value with to be 0.2774. So what we do now is go the annuity equals P 300 times 0.774, and we get the exact same annuity amount, $83.22. So if we were to draw the cash flow diagram with the annuity amount, we can see that if we pay $300 today, we want to get $83.22 for 5 years. Okay, alright, now you might wonder, for $300, why can't we just simply divide by 5 to get a value of 60 per year, like this, as I've shown here? So $300, so divided by 5, so each period you should receive $60. But one thing that this idea neglects is the discounting factor, that the $60 in period 1 is not the same $60 in period 2 if we were to discount it back to time 0. So if I were to do the calculation for this question, as I've done in the last video, the present value worked out to be $216.28, which is less than the $300 present value. So therefore, it is important that you don't just simply divide by the number of period and use the proper equation or the table. Okay, now example 2 is dealing with future value. So here we have a future value of $150. We're going to assume that the interest rate here is going to be 8%, and the number of period will be 4 period. Okay, and we want to work out an equivalent annuity amount for each of the 4 period. Okay, so this is kind of like saying how much do I have to deposit at each period, so at the very end of it I will get $150. Okay, once again we'll start out with the equation method. The equation for future value, if we are using annuity, is A bracket 1 plus R to the N minus 1 over R, and we rearrange to make A the subject, and we find that the equation becomes F times R over 1 plus R to the N minus 1. And we know what future value is, we know what the interest rate is, and we know the number of period. So what we do is just put it into the equation like this, and we find that the annuity amount we have to put in will be $33.28. Okay, and if we're going to do this using the table method, we will find that we will get the same answer as we predict. So if we were to use the interest rate table, we go A equal F times finding A given F, I, and N. Okay, so this is just another column in the interest rate table that you look for. Okay, we know I is 8%, we know N is 4. So we can find out that finding A given N, I, and N will equal 0.2219. So now all we have to do is just go the present value, the future value, which is $150 times 0.2219, and we get the exact same answer of 33.285, which is a little bit different from using the equation, but at the end of the day is essentially the same thing. Okay, now if we were to do our cash flow diagram with this question, it would look something like this, where at period 1, 2, 3, and 4, we will put in 33.285, and at the end of these 4 periods, we expect to have a future value of $150. So the same question can be asked here. Why didn't we just divide the 150 by 4 and see how much we're going to put in per period? Well, once again, with the future value, every period that we put in will be getting interest. So for the first one, we'll be getting interest for 1, 2, 3 period. The second one will be getting interest for 2 period, and the third one will be getting interest for 1 period. So if we added all those interests that is generated from each of the annuity amount, we see that we only need to put less than if we were to divide the 150 by 4. Okay, thank you.